I'm joined from Washington now by Alexander Vershbow, NATO's former Deputy Secretary General, amongst other jobs. Ambassador, very good to talk to you. Tell me, I mean, in your experience, could you have imagined that the United States does not want to talk to the ambassador from its, well, one could say its key NATO ally?
Well, it is highly unusual, and I have to say it's not surprising that President Trump has tweeted that he won't deal with Ambassador Darroch anymore. I think if you read Ambassador Darroch's leaked telegrams, it would have led you to that conclusion, that President Trump is very thin-skinned when it comes to public criticism. But I think that the relationship between the United States and the UK will not be seriously damaged. I think this will blow over. But it does seem that Ambassador Darroch will have to shorten his tenure in Washington, and that's unfortunate since he's done a very good job.
Well, it seems just a step short of almost expelling him if you're going to boycott him, cut him off from all information.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of thing that happens more frequently in totalitarian countries where they don't like any criticism from any quarter. And I was ambassador to Russia, and the Russians weren't too fond of some of my comments about their backsliding on democracy, but they didn't cut me off. So it is unusual that the president said that the administration won't deal with Ambassador Darroch anymore. And I think it is, unfortunately, going to be necessary for a new ambassador to be appointed quickly.
Mm-hmm. And just you say the administration, because in the tweet it says we will no longer deal with him. I mean, that could be, you know, Donald Trump as we, the Trump family, but do you think that does include, I guess, his main interfaces with the State Department? It includes Mike Pompeo and all the paraphernalia of state.
Well, that's not clear, and perhaps normal diplomatic protocol will be followed, and the ambassador will continue to do his job until his term is concluded. But I think losing the confidence of the White House really will handicap him from this point forward. And I'm not saying he has to leave tomorrow, but serving another 6 months or more may no longer be the best thing for UK interests.
OK, just stay with us, Ambassador Vershbow. We're just pausing just for me to alert our viewers to the fact that we are now, I think we're going to see the President very shortly, yes, clapping, and I think I just heard the tones of the national anthem as the President approaches the podium. A speech about American leadership on the environment is expected there. Yes, there is President Trump. I'll just pause my, my interview with the Ambassador a moment or two just to hear the President's opening comments.
Thank you very much. Great to have you, and I hope you all had a truly wonderful Independence Day weekend. In spite of the heavy rain, and it was really heavy, we had a remarkable salute to America on the National Mall. It was incredible, actually. Standing on the steps of the great Lincoln Memorial and looking out on the crowds, these incredible, big, beautiful crowds, braving the weather all the way back to the Washington Monument, we celebrated freedom in all of its magnificence while saluting our great military. It was something really special. And I will say this, it was a wonderful day.
OK, just showing you that so as we can keep an eye on what the President may say. As I say, the speech is on the environment, but perhaps he might face some questions about this rift with the UK's ambassador to Washington. And Ambassador Vershbow is still with me there in Washington as well. And tell me this, do you feel, as a former ambassador yourself, you mentioned there you're posting to Moscow, do you feel any sympathy for Sir Kim Darroch in the exposure of some frank analysis on his part, which, of course, ambassadors are meant to send back to their capital?
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely right. As I think one of the British government spokesmen said, ambassadors are paid to be candid and give their unvarnished assessments of the host government and what's motivating its policies. So, you know, the leaker who put these memoranda and telegrams into the public domain is really the culprit here, not Ambassador Darroch. So I do feel his pain. I was the victim of some of the WikiLeaks telegrams that were released by Bradley Manning 9 years ago. And they did damage relations in some cases. They jeopardized the safety even of some confidential sources. So diplomats should have the ability to write in confidence to their government and have the expectation that the confidentiality will be respected.
Well, given that experience, sorry, excuse me for interrupting there, but I just want to say, well, given that experience, and it has therefore been going on for some years now, do you think all diplomats are being more constrained and can't even trust their secure channels back to their governments?
Yeah, well, that certainly would be one of the lessons to be drawn from this, that no matter how restricted the distribution, in some cases, apparently it only went to Mark Sedwill and no one else, somehow these documents were still leaked, in some cases just within days of their being submitted from Washington to London. So more and more diplomats may find that it's safer to do things over the phone or face-to-face and avoid a paper trail, which ultimately is bad for the whole process of formulating policy, and it's bad for historians who want to reconstruct the record years down the road.
That's a very good point. And let's just return to the damage caused to this special relationship. Do you think it will be short-lived?
Yes, I do. I mean, the relationship has so many important common interests in strategic partnership, including in defense and national security, whether it's our work together on nuclear weapons or strengthening NATO or dealing firmly with Russian aggression in Ukraine. We have so many things we need to work together on. And of course, the extraordinarily rich and sizable economic intercourse between our two countries, I think, argues for this being treated as a momentary incident, but not one that should ultimately damage the relationship going forward.